Okay. How did we do in the Dragon Month? Oh my goodness. So, uh,
Right.
if you tuned in last month, I talked about how, after we go through a form of fire and brimstone that was 2024, and when we shift into a new year, it's just part of human nature to want to move past that energy as quickly as possible. And it's very similar to if you've ever had a BaZi reading done and we talk about your past, right? We call it tracing the luck. We have to trace the previous pillars to understand the influences of the past energies. And we do that because those are all nuggets of lessons that we learn so that we know how to navigate the current time. And so that's no different than wanting to just move past 2024 and get going with the new year, right? But the elements, they have a different plan in mind. And so right in the middle of a new year momentum, right? The spring energy when we're all kind of coming out of the fog, or that is the flame of the dragon, if you will. Dead smack right there was the dragon, and the dragon came in simply as a you can say soft or hard reminder, right? Of yep, you survived, or you came out unscathed for some very, very few people in 2024. But just because that has passed us doesn't mean we forget about it, right? And we have experiences, things happen, life happens to us, even in the messy part of it, the hard parts of it, because it's trying to teach us something. And that's how we learn and we form wisdom so that we can take that with us moving forward. And so this Dragon Month, and we're still 4 days away at this recording. The new month starts on Cinco de Mayo on the 5th of May, is kind of like that little blip in the middle of our journey that is this year. As a beautiful, I choose to look at it in a good way, but I also understand it's very difficult. I've had some pretty tough sessions in the Dragon Month. One, like just to throw some examples, I have a client whose spouse, basically all of his toes got cut off, so he has no toes. I've had a handful of clients with health scares. There's definitely the general feedback has been there's a heaviness to this year. There's just some friction, kind of like, and sometimes the harder energy is the one that you can't quite articulate, but it's just an overall sensation. It's a feeling, right? And so, whatever it's worth, hopefully you've had time to decompress from that, or at least that is your homework this week. Okay, today's Thursday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Excellent, excellent days to just kind of clear things out, right? And obviously, part of the clearing out that we're going to do is to take care of the feng shui of our home, which I do want to talk about that. Um, okay, so let's get started. Again, you can go to my YouTube channel to look at all the previous talks, right? A lot of my students and clients who are very interested and invested in learning more about BaZi can always learn more every time when you tune into these talks. So you can go there. I want to offer also one more time the Chinese New Year talk if you haven't actually listened to this, because this is the basis of the foundation for the year. Okay, and I don't really will repeat a lot of the things there, but I do grab some of the general themes that we've covered at the Chinese New Year talk. So here we are, we're 4 or 5 days going before we shift into the new month, which is the snake month, that is May. The yin fire element, it's a duplication, right? It's going to mirror the energy of 2025. And for those that have tuned into the Chinese New Year talk, if you remember, I said that the theme of 2025 is all about the spark. It's a time to reignite inspiration in our hearts. And so I found this little poem and I thought it was so fitting to sort of make that your theme going into May. There's a lot of energy in May, okay? A lot of I would say, elevating energy. There's a lot of exciting energy. It's a bit chaotic, a little, unstable in some ways, because that's what happens when you have a lot of things going, when adventures are in the midst, when we feel excited about something, when we're about to pull the trigger to undertake, new projects or enter into a new relationship, for example, for those that are doing that. There's a lot, right? There's just a lot of energy, but there's also a lot of hopeful energy in that. Before we dive into the BaZi piece, I'm going to cover Feng Shui really quick. So just for your reference, the month of May covers May 5th until June 5th. So you have this week to cleanse your Feng Shui cures that you've used for the dragon month, right? Lay it out in the sun for at least the day if you are recycling them. Okay, and then try to put them in all the right places, probably by Sunday of this week. I'm doing the same thing. And just as a reminder for those that are maybe new to the concept of classical feng shui, feng shui, the energy in our spaces are multi-layered, okay? And so what I mean by that is energy affects us in different levels. And then when you know and learn how to read it, then you kind of look at it in a more holistic way. These talks, because they are just monthly talks, I don't really get too deep into the analysis of the energy within our spaces. That's a whole completely different conversation. But to give you a quick refresher, everything in feng shui in our spaces is very much like how we look at individuals, right? Individual persons have their own birthday. We have our own unique energetic makeup, that define us and our qualities and our gifts and our strengths. Well, every property also has a birth chart, okay? We call that the base chart. This is the culmination, sort of the essence of the house. So some houses are really good for human harmony, which is about relationships and family, health. And then some houses are good for money, which is literally money, right? Where we have prosperity, the flow of abundance. And some houses have one or the other. Some houses have both. Some houses have neither, okay? So every houses are different. They're just made up differently. That's also based on the configuration of the floor plan, the placements of the rooms, the usage and the function of the space, and then you have the people living inside the house. And we people have energy, and so how we interact and respond to the energy of our spaces are also going to be unique, okay? So the base chart, you can only get this if you've learned it by taking a feng shui class properly, and then, or number two, you've had a private consultation. So then you have this floor plan chart, which is the base chart. So this is the first layer, okay? And this is the first layer because this is the energy forever, or at least until you demolish the house, okay? Similar to your birthday, you have your birthday forever until you're no longer with us, right? So that's the base. And then the influences then happens by various inputs, and the input can be an annual star influence, which is the influence of the year, okay? So every year it's a different energy. This is the year of the snake, right? So in the Chinese New Year talk, we already covered, how the energy of the year is going to impact our spaces. So this is important because it's very similar to when you look at your BaZi, right? You have your own BaZi chart that's fixed, but then some years are your Nobleman years, some years are your Clash years, some years your Peach Blossom, and every year creates different experiences, different events. So this is also very similar to how it affects the feng shui of our houses. That's why sometimes you feel like everyone at home is doing well, everybody is healthy, the house is good. And then there's certain times when, the washing machine exploded and the plumbing flooded the whole place, right? So, and then people are experiencing some challenges within the home space. So, but here in this talk, we covered the monthly, which we only address the monthly energy. That's why every month, I say to people, at minimum, take care of the annual star, okay, at minimum. Then if you have energy and you are interested in learning because you understand how energy works, right? And you want to, maybe you have some things going on in your life that you just want some extra juice, some extra good jujus, right? Then take care of the monthly star. But the holistic picture, okay, of the overall sort of well-being of the space, we can't really determine that without the base, okay? So just something to think about. All right, so this is the monthly flying star for the snake month, okay? And just a quick reminder, these are the meaning of the stars. Again, flying star feng shui is not numerology, okay? They represent elements, and elements embody different qualities of energy. And that's why if you've been following me for a while, or at least have been learning about flying star feng shui, you know why the number 2 and the number 5 are the two most difficult elements, okay? We don't like these numbers because they embody sickness and misfortune. I just finished teaching a feng shui class in Scottsdale, and I gave the students a scenario if you had to choose between a 2 and a 5, right? In terms of if you're buying a house, for example, and the front of the house was a 2, I'm not talking about house number, okay? I'm talking about the energy based on the floor plan, the natal chart of the house. If, let's say, you had to choose between, you know, the flying star number 2 or flying star number 5, which one would you choose? And most people, I'd say, would of course, this is like trying to choose the worst of the two evils, right? They would choose misfortune because misfortune doesn't sound as scary as sickness, and a lot of people can relate what sickness means. It's a physical, emotional, mental ailment, right? Disease. But I reminded the students that actually misfortune covers everything, including sickness. So everything in terms of financial security, health, relationship, legal, body, fertility, everything. It's the culmination of all hardships. How it hits us, you know, individually is different because our energy is different, our BaZi is different. So it may look different, but the overall sort of definition of those hardships is misfortune. So you never, 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 ever choose 5, even if you had to choose it between sickness. Misfortune is the harbinger of bad luck, okay? And I have too many examples in real life where misfortune brings a lot of difficulties, okay? So obviously, these are the numbers that we want to cure, right? The rule of thumb is to always cure the negative stars, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in this monthly talk, I always just give you instructions on what to do. We never activate, don't even mess with the good stars, which are 9 and 1, unless, again, A, you've taken the feng shui class and you know what you're doing, or B, you've had a feng shui consultation that can accurately analyze your floor plan to assess on whether or not you can actually use the good stars this month, okay? So here are the cures. Right, so we have the misfortune taking a visit in the southwest side of our home. So it's really ideal for you to have a floor plan, okay? Then you can orient your floor plan based on the direction because everybody's different. So look at your floor plan and see what is in the southwest. Put a 6 metal rod wind chime there. And then, of course, the second stuff we have to take care of is the center and northeast, okay? Northeast is already very, very sensitive this year because we have the 5. And the big numbers are referring to the annual star, and the small numbers is referring to the monthly star. So that's the difference between the numbers. So in the center and the northeast, we need the 6 metal coins or the wulu, the metal wulu that you can buy, the little gourd, okay? Or 6 metal coins is very simple. The rest, you have in the east and southeast is where the 3 bamboo stems need to go, okay? Again, it doesn't matter what room it is, okay? I don't care if it's a bathroom, laundry room, bedroom, living room, kitchen. always remember, just rule of thumb, cure them all. Don't even mess with it. Don't even overthink it, okay? Just put the placement. Now, if you have 2 rooms, let's say in the Southwest, you have your master bedroom and maybe a den. Yes, that means you need to put 2 metal rod wind chime, one in the master bedroom and one in the den, okay? Every room needs to have their own cure, okay? This is the same if you have a multi-level unit. So you also have upstairs, okay? So you also have to address the upstairs room. So that's why at the beginning of the year, a lot of like my students may purchase multiple coins or multiple, wind chimes. Some of them are small enough, right, that they're easy to move so that you have extra that you can use in different spaces of your house. And then finally, we have 3 and 4, which are here in the south and in the north, and that's where you need the red envelope, or any kind of fire element, okay? So anything that's red. All right, so that's your homework, okay? So you have this week to prepare. And I wanted to show a little feng shui example because the feng shui this month is really goofy, okay? I can't even, I'm underestimating the goofiness of the energy in our spaces for the month of May. So this is just like an example floor plan. It can be any floor plan, okay? Obviously, when you have the base chart, right, which either you get it from me or you were able to do it yourself or somebody else helped you to do it, you get your floor plan like this. And then every month, you plot, right? You plot the stars in whatever sectors that is labeled, right? Because everybody's facade of their house is different. In this particular building, the facade is facing northeast, right? So your house might be east or west or whatever. So you take the monthly star, you plot them, and then that's how you know where everything goes, where all your cure goes, okay? Now, then what I'm saying about May of 2025, so these darker red color right here, these boxes, this represent the annual star. So that's what you see here, Southwest, it's 8585. Center, 28, right? Northeast, 52, okay? Now, these are troublesome combination because look at 2, 5, 8. Any one of these combos is talking about sickness, misfortune, harm to children, misfortune, sickness. It's all sorts of kind of weird combo. So if you have a house where you have children, young children, grandchildren, or you're thinking about having a baby, right? So starting a family, for example, the southwest, center, and northeast sector of your space, very, very sensitive this year, very difficult because you're working against the energy of this particular month, okay? Now, again, remember what we say about BaZi. We say BaZi, it trumps Feng Shui, okay? So if your BaZi is good and strong, meaning you're in good luck, then you can withstand a little bit of bad Feng Shui, okay? The problem is when your BaZi is under clash, in penalty, or you transition into a bad element year, like this is a fire year, if your BaZi chart doesn't like fire, for example, and then you're sleeping, working, eating, in these areas, then yes, you're going to have a little bit more of a challenging time because now the BaZi and then the Feng Shui are all, under the influence of some difficult stars. Then, of course, like in this particular floor plan, for those of my students, this is an opportunity for you to get a refresh. We analyze sort of like what is the base chart energy in this space. Well, in this particular floor plan, we have an 8, we have a 2 and a 5 that's activated. So what happened is during the month of the snake, in the year of the snake, these are the number combinations that's happening in this particular property. Look at 885, 228, 552. And for anybody that's been like following me for a while, sometimes I'll post pictures of license plate numbers or if I saw like, house numbers or phone numbers like this that have these kind of combination numbers. In Feng Shui, we call this 3 shas. It's called 3 killings. You see, this is the not good. We see this in big, tragedies and accidents and, like one of my clients that this is a famous story I share in my workshops and in my classes. A client of mine fell down the ladder and lost his eyeball. Things happen within the space that's creating more difficulties. It's the result of this kind of combination. So whether or not you have the feng shui, base chart of your house or not, okay, at minimum, take care of the annual star. And then for this month, take care of the monthly star, okay? Curing it simply means you're just neutralizing that energy so that it doesn't get activated, okay? So you're just trying to control it. It doesn't make it go away, okay? It just suppresses it for the time being. All right. So if you're interested in a feng shui consultation, just reach out. We just finished the feng shui course in April. I'm not offering another one until next year in 2026. Okay, it's really fun. We had so much fun learning and doing case studies. All right, so now we're into the month of the snake, and it's a yin metal snake month. And yin metal, yin metal people, if you were born on a yin metal day, there's a very famous saying, beautiful like a diamond, but harsh like a dagger or sharp like a dagger, okay? So there's a precision, there's a decisiveness, to me. There's an organization to me. Yin metal quality is also about loyalty. They're very hardworking. And these are just somebody needs to mute themselves. I can't see who's talking here, but people who were born on a yin metal day, yin metal is considered the most beautiful element out of the 10 because it represents the skin, the teeth, the bones, the sensuality of the person, and the sexual organs. That's why yin metal is often described like, boyish good looks, sexy, alluring, very attractive, etc., etc. Okay, so now we're into the month of the snake. So we are in the 4th month, okay, of 2025. It's a big deal because this is also the start of the summer season. I know everybody, if you're following the Gregorian calendar or the Western astrology, everybody's saying something different. But the Chinese calendar officially recognizes that May is the start of the fire season, which is summer, okay? And like I said, the snake is like a yin fire. It's about like a candle. And we are officially transitioning from that spring, energy of new birth and renewal. Now we are kind of moving into an upward, forward moving momentum. Okay, everything is alive, everything is in place. Okay, so if you're lagging a little behind, it's time to get going. All right, so if you have foggy brain, procrastinating, it's time to wake up. Okay, because the summer season is all about like actually producing now. And in Chinese medicine, fire is associated with the spirit. We call it the Shen. The spirit is often viewed in the eyes. Okay, so a lot of really good Chinese medicine doctors will look at your eyes to see, are your eyes glowing, and they have that spark, or do you have very dim looking eyes, which you often see that with serial killers, people being sentenced to life in like criminals, people who are ill, very, very sick, someone that's experiencing a very challenging time in their life. You can see this sometimes with like politicians when they are in the midst of a scandal, and all that attention puts a lot of stress and pressure. You look at their eyes, there's no Shen there, huh? And we also talk about this, how when you look at someone's eyes straight up, you don't want to see the whites underneath. You don't want to see whites underneath. The pupil should take up the entire eye when you're, in your eyelid. You can't see what I'm doing, but you know what I mean. So sometimes when when you look at them straight and then you see a lot of whites on the bottom, it's almost like their eyeballs are elevated a little bit. That in Chinese, we say the spirit is not in the body. Okay, so that person is either in bad luck, is sick, or going through some really challenging time. I have a really good acupuncturist client in LA, and she said, if she looks at a patient and their eyes are like that, she said, I tell them to go see a psychiatrist. It's beyond what I can do to help. It's very, very obvious when you see that. Okay, so let me just check any questions. You don't do anything if there's empty space. If it's a vaulted ceiling, there's nothing to do. Okay, just rooms with walls and doors, or a loft. Obviously, if you have a loft, then you also take care of the loft. Okay. All right, so fire obviously is the emotion of joy. Metal is also grief. So it's kind of like, what do you call this? An oxymoron or something? Like you're sad and happy. There's birth and death. This is the true, what do you call this? Definition of yin and yang, kind of like being in both spaces, both dynamic. Okay, just honor that. I actually think May is that month of where I'm going to label it like being forged in fire. It's a very classic Chinese saying, and Master Lo used to say this a lot. He says, metal is useless without fire, because metal is just a giant piece of metal, but you need to put the metal through the furnace to melt the metal and mold it into something beautiful, valuable, right? But the process itself, if you've ever done metal work, right? It's hot, it's painful. Like just think of that metaphor for a minute. If I was a metal, and I'm being put through the furnace to be melted so that I can be turned into something that's a treasure, that's a prize, something to be regarded. The process itself is painful. It's a purification. So coming out of the dragon month, which is, we're still in it, it's like, really ask yourself, like, what is the lesson here? What am I supposed to learn? And how am I learning it? And how am I applying it? Do you know how many times I've heard clients say, I know, I've been told that before. Oh, you're like the sixth person to tell me that. It's like, hello, when are you going to get the message? Right? Are you going to get the message when you get into that car accident? Are you going to get that message when you get sick? Are you going to get, when are you going to get the message? So May, right? And we know May mirrors the energy of the snake year. So everything is magnified and duplified. Duplified? Is that a word? I just made that up. And so there's going to be parts in May that will feel like you're going through the furnace. Okay, whether that is a habit, right? A vice, right? A relationship, whatever. Everybody's different. You got to power through it. You got to get through it to get to the other side. Okay. So another famous Chinese proverb, we say, don't take yin fire for granted. A lot of people, especially Western folks, when you hear yin and yang, you automatically think yin is small and weak and yang is big and strong, right? Because it's yin and yang. But that's not true in BaZi especially. We say that yin fire is more dangerous than yang fire, okay? Because yin fire, all it takes is a little spark, just a match. And are you lighting up the match to make a bonfire that warms the hearts of those, everyone, that's around? Or are you lighting up the grenade for a gigantic explosion? So that's why we say candles are more dangerous and more fickle than the sun. The sun's very transparent. You know what I mean? Everybody sees it. So yang fire people typically are very transparent people. What you see is what you get. When they get mad, they're mad. They don't try to hide it or passive aggressive, whatever. But yin fire, on the other hand, is a little bit more cunning in that way because they're also very fickle, you see? So what's the general theme this month? I think, I was meditating on this a little bit going into May, and so much about the energy of fire, which, by the way, we haven't been here in a very, very long time, 12 years to be exact, okay? So yin fire, the snake month, is really all about healthy relationships. It's not just like I know a lot of people and I'm hanging out with a lot of people, and it's not just, oh yeah, I'm with these people and I kind of tolerate it. No, it's truly about developing real intimacy. And I'm not just talking about physical intimacy, I'm talking about emotional intimacy. And think about what we've been through since COVID, when, the world, whatever, and all the brokenness that resulted from that time and the blackout, right? I have a lot of people that don't remember what happened to them. It's like this little block of time that people want to forget about. And one of the biggest emphasis that came out of that was really about my people, my relationships. And I think there's been a lot of healing that needed to happen, especially 2020 and then 2023, right? The year of the rat and the year of the rabbit. Those were the years that really emphasized on healing, forgiveness, and reconciliation, calibrating your people, like, oh my gosh, we broke up, or, they're not my friends anymore, or I abandoned them, or I got abandoned, whatever the story is, right? A lot of that is kind of falling away, hopefully, at least that should be the case. And so we're here now in a different season. 2025, think of 2025 as like starting a new season, which is the fire season. And that's what May is reminding us. And so there really needs to be a stronger bond in the relationship. And it may require you to be a little bit courageous, and bold, right? To set boundaries or to really ask for what you want. Okay, so intimacy is a big word going into May. And like I said, May is also the fickle month. So this is not the best time to put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Now, I say that with a disclaimer because I don't know your individual BaZi. Okay, if you've had a BaZi session with me, you can kind of just receive this information as a general comment. But generally speaking, in May, we don't really want to put all our eggs in one basket, meaning I'm not going to sign a 20-year lease on a building, again, unless you've had a BaZi reading done, because there's a nobleman here, okay? But generally speaking, we want to align our actions with what the element is inviting us. And the invitation is to play, to explore, to discover, to be creative, right? And if you seal the deal right away, it's kind of like dating, right? You don't marry the first guy. I think we get that message, right? So that's the same thing. It's the same thing with business, relationships, money, okay? So again, unless you've had a BaZi reading done and we can see your chart more closely. And remember that the direction of fire is upward. Okay, this is partly why we have a lot of airplane issues. I didn't really want to include the airplane stuff in my Chinese New Year talk because I think we were all pretty depressed already from the dragon year. So I wanted to keep the message of the snake year mostly positive. But whenever we come into the snake year and the pig years, okay, this is just a little BaZi tip, we have air or aviation and maritime disasters or accidents, okay? Because snake is a fire element and the momentum or the direction of fire is upward. We don't have air, right? That's Western astrology, but our air is more fire, okay, going up. So that's why if you correlate that to the activities of the modern world, that would be like going up in the air, flying, okay? So, but besides that, you have to imagine, am I moving upward? Do I have my eyes looking up? Like when we're depressed and sad, we look down. When we're excited and proud and excited, right? I already said that, excited. You know, we're anticipating something, we look up, right? We have something to look forward to, kind of a thing. And so just a good little quick assessment. You know, you don't have to go cuckoo and put a vision board and journaling and all that madness. It's just do a little quick mental note to say, hey, I know I've been working on wanting to lose weight or at least getting fit. I started in the spring. Maybe I fell backwards in the dragon month, but at least I've been moving my body. And so May, I'm going to continue moving forward so that I can continue to progress in my goal. So that is the same application in whatever it is that you're pursuing in 2025. All right, so let's talk about the stars. For May, again, this is for May 5th through June 5th. People who are born in the year of the piggy. Okay, so this is also covered in the Chinese New Year talk. If you were born in the year of the pig, that means May is your double clash. Double, two, okay? One is good enough. When you have two, that's good. For those of you, if you remember last year when I fell down the mountain on my triple clash day, and people were like, why were you climbing Mountain Jen on your triple clash? And then as I was falling, I was like, oh yeah, because it's my triple clash. Okay, so, okay, anybody born in the year of the pig? Anybody born in the month of the pig? The month is November 6th, 7th until December 5th or 6th. And then also the hour of the pig, this is 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And you have to adjust this 1 hour based on daylight saving time if you were born. What do you call this? If you were born in states during the period where daylight saving was observed. So if you have your BaZi chart, you can just look at the 4 pillars and go, do I have pigs? If you have a pig, then you have a clash, okay? But you don't just have one, you have at minimum 2, okay? Now remember, there's going to be certain days in May that's going to be a pig day. So then that means you're going to have a triple clash, okay? So obviously the most serious one is if you were born on the day of the pig, and there's no way to calculate this without the calendar, okay? So you either have to have your chart, okay, or ask me to put your chart together to see. The day is always the most sensitive one because this is our house of treasure. It doesn't just affect us, but it affects all the people around us, our spouse, our children, our home, our career, our body, money, health, everything that you treasure, okay? So, but again, clash is not something to be feared, all right? Because clash is where life happens. And life is good, bad, ugly, messy, amazing, all in one, all right? So my advice is to make sure you fortify whatever it is that is more, you know, like weaker or more sensitive in your life going into the month of the snake. What I mean by that? Well, let's say you're married and you and your hubby or wifey are not getting along. Maybe you're not on the same page. Maybe you're both agitated with each other. Maybe at work, you have a lot of miscommunication. You're not being on the same page with your business partner, okay? If you don't fortify that, meaning resolve it, or at least have a plan to clear the way, then you bring all that juju with you in your double clash month. Then the clash will automatically go there where it is most sensitive. Then it will aggravate it, irritate it, activate it, stimulate it even more. So that's the same thing with health. Like if maybe in Dragon Month, maybe I was eating extra cupcakes and I wasn't sleeping as good and you know, I'm not taking care of myself as well. Well, that's what you take with you in your double clash. Then maybe you will have either not so good blood work or you'll start to injure yourself, for example, hurt yourself, etc. So that's why we never can avoid clash. Clash, nobody's immune to this, okay? Everybody will be under clash at one point or another. But it's all about how are you protecting, preserving, you know, reacting to that energy. You have to remain open So it's not a good idea to overschedule because the energy of clash is already very spastic, very chaotic, busy, you know? So why are you going to add more crap? Especially if you're already feeling stressy, right? Stressed, stretched, irritated. Then why are you loading up more things? That's every person is going to end up managing their clash very differently because it depends on how you are preparing yourself. Okay, so people who are under clash also are less patient, you know, they're short-tempered because they're on the go, you know, they have dreams, they don't sleep as well. So if you have any clashes whatsoever in May, which means you have for the year, then that means the feng shui is, you need to fortify the feng shui even more, because then that means you're more sensitive, you're more susceptible to the energy of your house. Just like you're more susceptible to other people's energy, you know, where you find yourself more attuned to people's crap or to other people's good, right? And so yeah, that's why we have to pay attention to clash. Last month, I talked about Hilaria Baldwin's BaZi chart because she actually has a double clash this year in 2025, because you see she was born in the year and the day of the pig. She has 2 pig signs, so she already has a double clash. But what's interesting is she is 41 years old. So you see she is in the luck of 40 to 50, and this is already the luck of snake. So when she turned 40 last year, she was already in a double clash. That means in 2025, she has a quadruple clash. And then in the month of May, she has a septa clash. I don't know how to say 6. What is that? I don't know. What's after quadruple, 5-tuple, 6-tuple? I don't know. If you know, feel free to share it with me in the chat. So I was like curious, what's up with her? I mean, she's married to Alec Baldwin, and obviously he's got his fair share of stuff, which I also covered his BaZi chart last month with all of his scandal and stuff. Well, a lot of noise is coming out this year. Like, why? You always wonder, why this year? It's not like she changed, but why there's so much noise this year, where she's getting a lot of flack, actually, where podcasters, video people, TikTok people, you know, again, I'm on those things because it's for my work, my research, but they're all basically calling her out that she's not really Spanish, but I guess she speaks like she has a Spanish accent and changed her name so that she is Spanish or something. So anyway, she's had to come out and defend herself. So it's a little Hollywood scandal, right? Very similar to what's going on with Blake Lively with all of her charts, right? That's a whole different story altogether. So of course there's disruption, you know, new things happening, but it can give her new opportunities. She can seize that as an opportunity, right? For, I guess in Hollywood, any publicity is good publicity, right? So anyway, more to see. And of course, she's in this 10-year clash. She's just at the start of it. And, you know, last month, there was also a thing between them where she told Alec Baldwin to be quiet in the red carpet. didn't even like sugarcoat it. So who knows what's going on with them behind closed doors. But as Hollywood goes, they pretty much always respond, you know, to how the elements are. Clash can mean breakup, separation, right? Hardship, difficulties. So look at that. Boom, 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 boom everywhere. Walton Goggins, if you watch The White Lotus, look at his BaZi. He has we were born in the year of the pig, month of the pig, day of the pig. It's a lot of piggies. 3 pigs. I don't know what time he was born. So that means this year, 2025, he has a triple clash. Triple. But then he is also 53. He's going to be 54. And look, he is, I'm going to change this so you can see. He is also in the luck of the snake. So similar to Hilaria, When he turned 51 back in 2020, he entered into this luck. He has a triple clash. But what's interesting, so then he technically has sextuple clash, whatever that is, 6 clashes. And then in the month of May, he's going to have 9 clashes. 9, you guys. Now, when White Lotus came out, he actually became the breakout star in that show, even though it was a cast, like lots of, people playing different parts. But he ended up getting like the attention. Okay, so we'll see what the year, how the year unfolds. I hope the clash for him is actually really positive and good things. So we will see. Stay tuned. But that's really scary. Okay, that's too many clashes. Very energetically sensitive. All right, so let's go to Nobleman. Yay! So if 2025 is your Nobleman year, that means May is also your Nobleman. So you got double, all right? If you were born on the day or year, right? If you look at your BaZi chart, you're focusing on the year pillar and the day pillar. And if you were born in a yin water, it should say up here, yin water, then it's also your Nobleman. And also for people who are yang water, okay? Born in the year of yang water, the day of yang water, then you have double Nobleman. Wow, what a beautiful time to go all out. So this is what I mean by as an exception from what I said earlier about not going all in, putting all your eggs in one basket. The exception are for those people who are extra protected during the month of May of 2025, okay? So again, Nobleman is all about angels, divine angels, right? New opportunities coming our way, new doors opening that we didn't see there before, right? Maybe you're meeting other people that are helpful and sentimental to you. Maybe this is the best time to launch something, right? To release, to share, to put yourself out there, to collaborate, to partner. Best time to be signing contracts, doing all of those things. Traditionally, Chinese culture, people, in Chinese culture, that's when they would have babies. They would get married. They start businesses. They had medical procedures, because Nobleman is about protection. And so that is the best time to take risk, okay? Now, with that said, I want to remind people that Nobleman is not a vending machine, right? Like they're saying God is not a vending machine. Just because you prayed it doesn't mean you get it. Okay, can you imagine if all our prayers were answered? The world would be on fire, okay? Nobleman is a beautiful opportunity for you to hustle, to work hard, to do all the things to make your dreams come true. But it's also an opportunity for you to have faith, because Nobleman can also come in the midst of challenges. And a lot of you have heard me tell stories. Sometimes clients get sick, sometimes clients get laid off, sometimes clients don't get what they want. And as human beings with human brains, people come to me and say, Jen, I don't feel so lucky. Why? It's my Nobleman. It's supposed to happen. Why did that? Okay, we all cry. And I always have to remind people that we don't have the full picture of our life, right? We don't have a full picture of the entire course of our destiny. The BaZi chart is simply a map. It doesn't really tell you, it's not a straight line, and it's not 100% guarantee. Everything is a journey, and there's detours, there's straight lines, etc. And because Nobleman is also protection. Sometimes you need to be protected from yourself. Maybe I'm trying to buy this business. I think it's a good idea. I want it. It's a good opportunity. It looks good on paper. But is it though in the long run, energetically? Maybe not. Maybe not. If it didn't happen,
and it's my nobleman, that means it's not meant for me because there's something else better or something else different. Okay, this kind of nobleman is truly the essence of what it means to like learn how to have a good life, because we are built based on fear, right? I need to provide for my family, OMG, okay? Or FOMO, I want what she has. Everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is having babies. Everybody else is getting married. FOMO. And then there's also the ego, right? And so we have to have things like noblemen in place to keep us humble, first of all, and also to help us stay on track. Okay, so if May 2025 is your double nobleman, and then at the end of May, you're like, you know what, Jen, I didn't get that job. I didn't get that project. Okay, then you've got some self-work you need to do to evaluate and really ask yourself, well, was that project really aligned? Or were you just pursuing it because it's about money? Or were you just pursuing it because you were not really being authentic, right? Because it's what everybody else was doing. There's always a lesson in that. And recently, well, I'll say this one more thing before I go to the example. You know, Stephen Hawking once said famously, like, just because you know you're not going to die today doesn't mean you cross the street without looking both ways, right? It's natural human tendency to like just make sure, unless you're completely oblivious. So that's the same thing about noblemen. Just because we know we have noblemen doesn't mean we squander it. Doesn't mean, we get everything we want, which we sometimes can. Yes, everything that is meant for you, you will get. You will never miss anything that was meant for you, especially in the nobleman. And everybody's different. Some people get $1 million. Some people get the love of their life. Okay, and it's just different. All right. So this is just an opportunity, okay, to remind yourself of the inner workings of energy. And the inner workings of energy also work in conjunction with our ability to choose. Okay. Now, here's an example. I don't know. I haven't posted this yet, so I'm talking about it here. Remember 2 years ago, I talked about Jeremy Renner's BaZi chart. So I've been tracking his chart since his accident. This is actor Jeremy Renner. And he has had a steady job, great actor, Hawkeye in the Marvel world. He was in Mission Impossible. He was in The Town with Ben Affleck, all of that. But he kind of catapulted into the public eye again on New Year's Day 2023 when he was mowed over in a terrible accident with a 14,000-pound tractor where his entire body went underneath this thing, okay? He died, but he came back. And when you look at his BaZi chart, for those that have studied BaZi, so Jeremy Renner is a Yang water person. He was born in the year of the dog and the day of the dragon, the dog-dragon combination. He has the Bruce Lee quality, the full-on gate to heaven and hell. This is an incredibly powerful, spiritual, very attuned person, very special, okay? This is a classic case that we find in like charts like Steve Jobs and Picasso and Tiger Woods, and they all have their own niche, athlete, entrepreneur, artist, etc. But what they all have in common is this dog-dragon combination. It's very, very special. That's why we call it gate to heaven and hell, okay? It's very dramatic. Now, the accident occurred the morning of January 1st, 2023, which technically was still 2022, right? Because January is still the year before. And the cops were called at 9 a.m. So we can assume that the accident occurred just before 9 a.m. And this is important, okay? Because between the hour of 7 and 9 a.m. is the hour of the dragon, which we know has no nobleman, okay? And on that day was the goat day. Okay, this has a lot of meaning to Jeremy Renner. The goat was a clash, accident, unexpected event. Jen falling down the mountain. Okay, so accident, okay, clash, unexpected event. that goat is also going to see his ox and dog, and it will form the energy called earth penalty. Princess Diana died on an earth penalty day, okay? Kobe Bryant, right? So Princess Diana died in a tunnel, earth, tunnel, because that's an earth element. Kobe Bryant crashed into the mountain, earth penalty, okay? I'm trying to think. All I can think about health, okay? But there's a lot of examples of earth penalty, which is the goat, the ox, the dog. So Jeremy Renner was already born with the ox and the dog, and it just so happened to be that day also was the goat day. So he had a clash and an earth penalty. So penalty, look at what happened to him. I mean, he's got the whole thing run over his skull. He has 38 broken bones, laceration. His eyeball was hanging out. I mean, it was horrific. Okay. But, you guys, the goat was his nobleman. He lived. He lived. He just did an interview on Joe Rogan, 2.5 hours, truly a masterclass. Okay. And I don't usually like talking heads very much, but it's an incredible story of surviving a horrific event, but it's almost like a miracle because he should be dead, right? And how many times in the past, if you've been following me for a while, sharing with you examples of cases where people should have died, but they overcame things. So if you have a bad day, you know, like, my computer broke, but it's like, hello, it really puts a lot of things in perspective. This is the utmost classic case of how clash, penalty, and nobleman work together. So hopefully it puts it to rest that no, nobleman doesn't cancel the clash or cancel the penalty. No, they still happen, but the nobleman comes through. Imagine what a divine intervention that is for him. So watch his interview because, you know, this is destiny, right? This is destiny. And in Chinese metaphysics, we say destiny, man, feng shui, right? So destiny means, oh, we got some trouble here, right? According to his chart in that particular moment in time. The man, obviously, he was in the way. He was trying to save his nephew, got in the way and got injured, right? But the man also made a different choice. A different choice meaning, I want to live. I want to get better. I want to walk again. He was told he would always live with a limp. He doesn't walk with a limp. Okay, he runs, he jogs, he's mobile. Yes, he's got all kinds of titanium in his body. He has his full vision. It's an incredible story. But that's the working of noblemen. And imagine one nobleman day, one day, in that moment, can save a life. Now, I go back to the time because remember I said between the hour of 7 and 9 was the hour of the dragon. So he got hurt during the dragon when the dragon was also a clash and a penalty. So there were a lot of stuff going on at that moment in time. But then when the police, you know, the medic people, firemen, whatever, they all came, they arrived just after 9 a.m., which is the beginning of the snake hour. Between 9 and 11 a.m. is the hour of the snake. And guess what, guys? That's also his nobleman. So he has help during the hour of his nobleman. And so 2025, the year of the snake, is Jeremy Renner's nobleman. And he's launching a book. He's releasing a book. He's doing all these things. So if you're not getting my gist here, right? It's what are you doing with your nobleman? Okay, this is your nobleman. Okay, what have you learned from your penalty? What have you learned from your clash, right? That now you can make use of it in your nobleman year. That's why his story is the classic like coaching case for doing life. Okay, so that's the gift of nobleman. And you want noblemen when life is hard, all right? That's why I say it's not a vending machine. Will you have moment of ease, like, wow, everything is falling in the right place, Yes, absolutely. But also when things are not going well. And I always have to remind my clients and students when they were experiencing friction, because we're so one-sided, like in our emotions and in our thoughts. Like, oh, it's hard, then it's bad. I'm like, no, forged in fire, right? Sometimes the hardness is worth it. And how much better that is when you have the accompaniment of Nobleman to get you through. Okay, so moving on. These are the days. Okay, so these are some days. Jot it down, take a screenshot, do whatever you need to do. If you have a Nobleman in May, then these are the extra Nobleman days right here. All right. If you have a clash with the snake, then these are all the extra clash days during the month of the snake. Okay, so I call it double, triple, quadruple, trouble, whatever, fun. That's why I say May is a lot of energy. The dragon month, there's an intensity to it. It's almost like the pressure cooker, it's just like, it's tense. It's just like, Then May kind of is this, everything is happening. Everybody can see it. Everybody's moving, right? So it's a lot of good momentum, but it can feel a little chaotic, right? When things are happening, but it's a good thing. So some things for you I want to think about, and then we're almost done with today's presentation. But I just want you to, this week, okay, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as you prepare the feng shui of your house, maybe you think about or meditate on some of these questions. Like, ask yourself, how are you doing? How do you feel? At the end of this spring season, do you actually feel invigorated, like a lot of energy to like tackle the summer season? Or are you kind of tired, you're just extra fatigued, not really inspired? It's a good gauge, and be honest, right? Have you noticed any shifts, especially in the last week, right? Getting ready to go into the snake month. Have you noticed any subtle shifts, in your mind? Some people, it's like, oh, I'm sleeping better. Or some people, it's like, my brain fog is not, it's not as heavy, or it's lifted, or maybe for some people, it's, my stomach doesn't feel good, right? Or I don't understand, like, I feel like I'm going backwards, or maybe I'm moving forward. Everybody's different. But what are the subtle shifts happening? Essentially, I want you to ask yourself, do I feel lighter? Because remember, the snake and the horse month, right? The summer season, it's all about going upward. Well, kind of hard to go up if you're heavy, right? So what kind of baggage is left? Physically, right? Physically heavy, mentally heavy, emotionally heavy, etc. So these are, again, good gauges for you to go, I gotta take care of that. And then finally, are you open? Are you just ready to receive how this month is going to rock your world? All of us are going to get rocked one way, shape, or form. Because even if you're not being rocked, somebody you know is getting rocked. And then you're going to absorb that energy. So one way, shape, or form, we're all going to get rocked this month. And it's so much funner. I know that's not a word, but it's so much funner when we can approach this energy with open-heartedness, curiosity, and just sort of that adventurous spirit, rather than just being so anxious and nervous and yeah, right? None of that. Stop that. Okay. So there you go. I did decide to reschedule the BaZi course that was originally scheduled for later this year. We're going to move it to next year, and we're going to make it into an in-person event, which was actually the original format of the school, and it's going to be 6 full days here in Scottsdale. I've done the online course, I think 3 times now since COVID. And it works out logistically because a lot of people can join from wherever they are in the convenience of their home. But there's a lot missed when you're in an online setting. And I'm really craving to have the course actually in person, because we do a lot of different things when we're actually in person. So if you're interested to learn, you can sign up, okay? There's payment plans available. If you're a repeat student, you're always welcome at a reduced rate. So something to think about for June of next year. Let's just run through these really quickly for Chinese medicine. Again, Chinese medicine, fire is all about the heart, the blood, okay, the small intestine, the circulatory of the body. If you're feeling any of these types of ailments going into May, it's good to maybe see your functional medicine doctor, your naturopathic doctor, your acupuncturist, to help nip these in the bud right away, okay? Because you don't want to bring this stuff with you because it's only going to agitate some of these diseases, okay, or imbalances. So if you're, again, showing any signs like this, try to be more proactive and get some help now. Again, laughter is the best medicine. Like the word that kept coming to me for the month of May was just laughter. Have you ever been around people who are easy to laugh? You know, there's such a joy to be around because it's like anything you say, they just laugh, right? Whether they're laughing to be polite or they're genuinely like think you're funny, it's just a good medicine. But don't forget what I said at the beginning of this presentation. It's all about relationship and community, okay? So get out there. Get out there, especially if you're living in Arizona before it gets, 400 degrees out here. But wherever you are, try to have those positive social interaction. Get out there and connect. Okay, so just two things for acupressure. If you're feeling hot, this is generally for maybe people in perimenopause or menopause. If you run hot, for example, you're experiencing extra heat in the body. Sometimes that happens. This also applies to people who are in warmer, hotter climates. If you feel like your body is dysregulated, triple heater 5 is actually a really good acupressure point. It's just right here at the bottom of the back of your hand, about 3 fingers down from the bone right here. And you just massage that, okay? Massage it 3 or 4 times, a firm press there. It's really good. Also in yoga, sometimes when you can breathe like with your teeth together, it just kind of help cools the body. The second one is if you're starting to feel like you have the monkey mind. That's a very Chinese saying, like you're ruminating, I can't decide, and you're starting to get anxious. Heart 7 is also another good acupressure point. So these are actually points that acupuncturists will put needles, but you don't have needles. So you have finger, so you can use your finger to also try to address some of those points in your body, especially if you're like in the middle of running errands and you're working and you're just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? It's so easy to learn acupressure and try to address that and remedy that in real time, okay? All right. So Mother's Day is coming up. If you know anybody, I'm doing gift cards for May. Obviously, it's a very unique and personalized gift for anyone, a special woman in your life. Then go ahead and come online and purchase a gift card. And we have the schedule for the summer. I'm going to update this on my website. I'll see you on June 2nd for the month of the horse. It's the peak of the summer season, very, very exciting because 2026 is the year of the horse. So we definitely want to see what is the horse trying to reveal to us, And I can take questions. Let me see. If your year is pig, does that always mean an accident or some sort of bad event? Is the clash ever positive? Yes, I always talk about clashes can be positive. It's not always bad. People fall in love in a clash. People have babies in a clash. Clash is new event, okay? Clash it's all about living life, and life comes messy. Life can get hectic and chaotic, but it's not always a bad thing. But Chloe, I think maybe you need to do a BaZi reading because then we can have that conversation more intimately rather than over here. And thank you, Monica, for addressing that because she knows. She already knows what the clash means. So, if anybody else have questions, if not, thank you very much. You guys are troopers. I'm very,
Jen,
yeah. Who's this?
Melissa?
It was Melissa. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So enjoy, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Did you have a question? I'm sorry.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Jeff. Bye, Melissa.
Thank you, Jen.
Bye. Yes, Alicia, February 4th.
Hey, Jen,
Yeah.
just take a look at your date on one of your early slides where you showed the annual. You had February 3rd, 2025 to February 4th, 2025. You meant 26, I think. February, it was one of the very first slides.
Oh, here.
There you go. Yeah,
Thank
there you go. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's right. Okay, that was all I saw. All right.
Good job.
Thanks. Yeah,
Good
yeah,
job.
thanks. All right.
Okay,
Talk
bye-bye,
soon.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care.